Good morning. Good morning. Happy Sunday morning to you. And there may not be people watching right now, and that's okay. Maybe you'll catch it later on. Just a couple things I wanted to talk about today, and I actually wrote notes for a change. So, how do I flip it? I always forget. There we go. Good morning, happy Sunday. Today I really wanted to talk about, the main topic is short season plants. And I'll get into that in just a little bit. So if you only have a little bit of time to actually grow before the harvest, these are some ideas that you can have to grow. Alright, so here's my view. My view from my back floating deck. Somebody laid an egg. That's exciting. Very exciting, very exciting. Alright, so my first shameless plug again is Dunkin' Donuts. They are not a sponsor, but I do appreciate them. So today the coffee is my regular coffee, but it's in a Dunkin' Donut cup, which I really like. It's heavy duty steel or aluminum, whatever you call that. The kind for food. It's got a rubber grip, which is really nice. A twisty top with a really thick lid, which is great for drinking on the road. I do not spill when I drink this, with a slidey catch that actually stays. Not all cups have that. So, Dunkin' Donuts travel cup. Shameless plug for Dunkin' Donuts. And it keeps the bugs out when I'm out here. See, no bugs. Good thing. Alright, and like I said, I have a list. I have a list of the topics I'm going to talk about today. So the first thing I wanted to mention is that because my chickens got out into the pen, there's a part in the fence. It's not their fault. There's a part in the fence I did not close over by the greenhouse, and they got out into the pen where I'm growing a block of corn, like a 4x5 block of corn. And they dug into it, so I had to replant. Well, no, actually I don't have to replant yet. What I found out is that when they're really young, give them 3 or 5 days to see if the leaves grow back. I mean, some of them were dug out of the ground, so I cannot replant them. They're dead. But they're saying wait about 3 to 5 days to see if there's regrowth, and then if not, you may have to replant. So my corn, I do not have to replant yet. But sadly, super sadly, they did dig out my zucchini babies and my squash. I had 2 zucchini babies, huge leaves, and then I actually had 4 summer squash. And I don't like the crook neck as much because it's harder to cut up. Like if I want to use a mandolin slicer, they're harder to cut up if they're crook neck than straight neck. Oh my gosh, ladies. I don't know if you can hear them, but anyway, I have to replant these today, so I carry these around in my pocket, so as soon as I can remember, I will go and replant them. And luckily, they do not take long to grow, but I think this time I'm going to put them in some starter pots and keep them in the greenhouse to regrow until they're established, and then put them in. I'm kind of going back and forth. I might do that. I might just put them in the ground. They do grow quickly in the ground. And the trick I use for squash is I take old hanging pots that I had from last year, and instead of just dumping the soil out and reusing it as soil or dumping the soil in the trash, I break off pieces of the soil from hanging pots and I make a mound, and that holds the moisture pretty well. And then I put like 3 seeds in each little patch of potting mix that has come from the old hanging plants. Works really well. I like to recycle, and then the mound just kind of breaks down a little bit as the plants grow out. So I need to get these planted again soon, because the squash, like the zucchini, I love zucchini. But last year, the zucchini was attacked by mildew and bugs really quickly. A lot of people had that problem. And I didn't get a lot yet last year at all. So this year I want to see if I can do that. I might even put some in some containers, like in the greenhouse, I'm thinking maybe. Although the greenhouse does get really hot, I just want to make sure that the bugs can't get to them is the issue. But then I'll have to self-pollinate, hand pollinate. All right, that was that. And then, oh, so last year when I planted squash, it was way over. Stop it, kitty. Hey, Vegas. It was way over in the corner behind those orchard trees. Way over here in this corner. And I did a little mounds of potting soil. Reused the potting soil for each mound. And I planted so many. Last year, I didn't know. It was too many last year. I didn't know, but I do know this year. But what I also did is I took these pinwheels last year from the Dollar Tree. And I plugged one at every mound for my squash plants, so that when I went to water, I could actually, when I could do it from a distance with a stream, and I could kind of hit the pinwheels, and I knew I was getting to the right watering area, and I was able to reach each one until they got well established. So I have these pinwheels. I put them up today because the wild birds are tagging the coop like crazy. There's like poop all over the coop, on top, on the sides of the what you call it right here, the nesting boxes where we get the eggs. So I'm hoping maybe the pinwheels, besides it's Memorial Day weekend, so it's kind of patriotic looking, red, white, and blue, but I'm hoping that the pinwheels are going to kind of distract the birds a little bit. I don't know. They might. So I figured I'd try them. It doesn't cost me anything because they're reused from last year. And I figured I would try that. Okay. But, oh, the other thing to mention is, yes, I was out in the sun here. See that ball of fire up there? It's going to be really warm. Like today, and then tomorrow and the next day for sure. So Sundays, today's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it's going to be super, super warm, like high 80s, and there won't be any rain. So I highly recommend you come out and water your gardens at least once in the morning for each day, because it's going to be so warm. You want your plants and your flowers and everything to not have to stress too much, especially your new plantings. Make sure they get watered at least every day in these hot days. And then the rain's going to come and it's going to cool off a little bit, and then you won't have to worry about them as much. Okay, so what I wanted to tell you about was short season crops. So I have a friend. Here we go. Those bangs are still killing me. All right, anyway. I have a friend who is moving into a brand new house in the middle of June, and she's leaving her garden beds from before. The new house has some garden beds. She's not sure if they're going to actually keep them there or not, if they're going to remain there or not. But she said something about, well, I guess it just means I won't be gardening this year. And I was like, oh, yes, you will. So, she's moving in the middle of June, so she could buy plant starts at the store. There should be some plant starts left at the store, but there's no guarantees. So what I'm going to plan to do is grow out some short season plants for her, at least in the next 2-3 weeks, and then help her do the planting for her. If the garden beds stay, I'll add some compost. And then I will add either plant starts that I can find at the nursery. But I probably will end up adding these plant starts that I start indoors. And I'll probably do that today. So short season plants. What that means is the time to grow from the time you start the seed to the time you actually get harvested is really short. So for example, tomatillos. Tomatillos growing season or growing length is about 55 days if they're planted in the right temperatures with the right watering and things like that. So tomatillos, they grow from the time you start the seed, it could be indoors, But from the time you start to seed till you get your first tomatillo is about 55 days. So that's a shorter season growing plant. A lot of your greens are short season growing plant. I think radishes are 30 days. Lettuces are within 30 days you can start harvesting. So those are short season growing things. A lot of, let's say, pumpkins would be 100 days, 180 days. A lot of tomatoes, and a lot of times why people start their tomatoes early indoors, they might start them 6 to 8 weeks before it's time to plant, or before we can plant when the frost is done, is because it takes so long from the beginning of the seed all the way until the time that you can harvest. So here are some ideas for some short season growing plants. The ones I'm selecting, there's a cucumber, there's 2 tomatoes, and 2 peppers, and then maybe some pumpkins, because I saw that she likes to take her family out and they like to pick pumpkins. And pumpkins don't have to take a whole lot of space if you train them where you want them to go, if you pay attention to them, or even if you trellis them. And you could trellis like smaller pumpkins, like pie pumpkins, or you know, the like hand-sized ones that the kids like to pick. I mean, you could trellis the bigger ones, just make sure that you have netting and that people aren't walking underneath them and they drop on their heads. That would be bad. At any rate, let me show you what I've got here. I like to get seeds from M.I. Gardener, Baker Creek, the big box stores if it's just something really generic. So like the big box stores, that's where I got the burpee seeds, summer squash, and zucchini. So yellow squash and zucchini, that was like at a big box store. And you can check the dates on the bottoms. They do have like packaged for, and you can always try and grow them. Like if you're not sure if the seed is good enough to grow, like if you think it might be too old, then maybe plant twice as much as you need and then see what comes up, because you're probably going to have at least 50% germination rate of all of your seeds, even if they're old. So then if you get too many that come up, then you give them to your friends, your neighbors, etc. All right, so what did I say? Baker Creek, M.I. Gardener, big box stores, and I also like to get them from Johnny Seeds. Oh, and one more place was for sunflower seeds. They're called Pro Cut sunflower seeds, and I think it was like sunflowerseeds.com. I'm not sure, but I could put that in the comments later after this video. And those sunflowers that they grow, when they're called Pro Cut, they don't have a lot of pollen, or they don't have pollen. They call them pollenless. So when you cut them for bouquets or corsages or whatever you might do, arrangements, the pollen isn't like falling on your table and things like that. Okay, so these are, I'm going to show you, are Johnny Seeds. And again, this is for short season growing. My friend's moving into her new home. Same climate, same zone, in the middle of June. So I figured I'd start some seeds for her, along with picking up whatever they might have at the market for starts, which there's no guarantee in the middle of June that there's going to be any starts left that you want. So we'll see. I gotta drink my coffee. And so these tomato seeds here, I do not think they're mirrored images. But we've got a hybrid, indeterminate. Indeterminate means, when you say indeterminate, like I can't determine the end date. So these indeterminates will grow as long as they possibly can. And it's good to have them in trellises or on strings, because they could be 8 to 10 to 12 feet long if you just let them grow. But you see it says the days, 60 days. So when I put them in the seed starter pots today, 60 days from now they should have their first tomatoes. This is an early girl. Hybrid means there's a mixture in it. It's not a heritage seed. So what that means is that when you get these seeds, they're not going to grow true to what you already have if they're hybrid. Heritage means that they're or heirloom means they're going to grow true to whatever they have. Now, sometimes the good thing about hybrids is that they are bred so they're disease or insect resistant. It doesn't mean they're GMO. They're not necessarily genetically modified. They're just inbred to make characteristics that you like. Okay, so 60 days from today, if everything goes right, and the germination rate they say is 97%. So I should be able to get, if there's, 10 I plant, 9 of them should germinate at least. And that's even 90%. But in 60 days, their first fruit should show up. That's that one's tomato. This one is a sun gold tomato. It's a cherry tomato. This one only takes 57 days. Check your seed packets for your tomatoes and see how long they take. Probably twice that. Usually about 90 days. But these, again, they're bred specifically to grow sooner, to have certain characteristics that are good. This one, germination rate is 98%. And there's 40 seeds in there. I'm never going to go through 40 seeds this year. I probably will plant 2 of each one, each type. This one, it's called Black Prince. I'm going to plant some of those for her and for myself because I haven't seen them before. But they actually end up, I think they look brown. It says Black Prince, but I think they just have like really dark shoulders when they mature. This one says 74 days. So still, today is May, 29th. So May. So June is 30 days. So 29th of June, 29th of July, let's say 29th of August. So if we plant these, I mean, that's 90 days. So it should get them in, what, the beginning of August? I know, Tam, it's math. This one says 90%. So if I plant 10 seeds, I'll probably get 9 of them to come up. If I get 10, perfect. If I get too many, I give them away. Or you can, the other option is sneak plant them. Like when people drop off zucchini and they have too many zucchini and they do like a doorbell ditch for zucchini and they leave them at people's doors. Anyway, that's what you could do. So those are short season growing tomatoes that I'll be starting today, and I'll see how they turn out. And I'm hoping within 2-3 weeks, they're going to have at least 1 or 2 new leaves, not the baby leaves when they first come up, not the seedling leaves, but the actual true leaves. So they should have 1 or 2 true leaves, and I will bet you money that they were going to grow so well. They're going to probably grow as well as a regular transplant that might be, a foot tall. They've done plenty of studies that shows in the right conditions, like I planted my 21 starts. Yeah. So 3 weeks ago, I think it was May 15th, I planted my 21 tomato starts because it was so hot in the greenhouse. And I thought, they're going to either die in the greenhouse or they're going to die because there's too much frost. And I said, I'll chance them in the ground. So I put in my 21 starts. They were at least a foot tall. So I'm a little bit taller than that. And they have done, in the ground is a little cool. And the air temperature was a little cool. And so they have done studies where they show, a taller tomato plant planted in a cooler temperature versus a baby 2-3 week old tomato seedling that's planted at the right temperature, soil temperature and air temperature. And they have at least done the same, and sometimes the newer one has actually outperformed the older one. So there's no guarantee. It's just that people like to be able to get their harvest. They don't want to have to wait for the tomatoes to ripen, because it feels like it takes as long for the tomatoes to ripen as it did for them to grow. So some of us get kind of impatient. So let me show you the other ones I've got here. Okay, so those were tomatoes. These are peppers. One is an early jalapeno. Can you see how many days? If I want them at green, 60 days. If I want to wait till they ripen, 80 days. Germination is 80%, so 8 out of 10 are going to germinate, they say. 8 out of 10 of these seeds. but it's a short season jalapeno. So I'm going to start some of those for my friend, and I am going to start some of those for myself because I love jalapenos. And then, what was the other one? The other one is, this one just says hybrid greenhouse pepper. And I believe it was just a plain green pepper. You can see here, if I want them green, they're 60 days. That's so like 2 months, within 2 months. Again, hybrid, they're bred for certain conditions. Short season, they're a lot shorter to grow than normal, than other peppers. And if I want them orange, it'd be 80. Germination rate, 95%. So it's a pretty decent germination rate. Again, even if the germination rate is low, hi Noel, then you can just plant more of them than you think you'll need. And if they all come up, great. You got too many, give them away. Okay, and then I also have a lemon. I'm going to grow some of these for her, but I'm also going to grow them for me. It says a lemon cucumber, 65 days to maturity, 65 days. Germination rate of 98%. You should look this up because it looks like a round cucumber, like the kind that you would get if the let's see, I had some of those last year. They were kind of round, kind of oval. And that was because they were sick. They had like the what you call it, virus. The I can't remember what virus it was, but so they got misshapen, or they weren't pollinated, and so they got misshapen. But these are deliberately round, and they're like a yellow, and they're supposed to be really sweet, not bitter. And I'm going to try these. So like I said, I'm going to grow some for her and for myself. And then pumpkins. A lot of pumpkins take about 120, 150, 180 days. These, it's Jack of Hearts. So it's like a smaller pumpkin that the kids can grow. 100 days. So about 3 months. And again, this is the end of May. So end of June, end of July, end of August. So right about October time is when these should be ready to go. And that's something to think about too if you're going to be planting your pumpkins. When do you want the pumpkins? Do you want them in August? Probably not. You want them in September? Probably not. Think backward. So like if these are 100 days, if I want them the week of Halloween, I just have to count backward. 100 days from there. The seed packets are rarely wrong as far as how long it takes from a seed to a harvest, to first harvest. Now, if you want them a week earlier than that, then you count backward from there. Germination rate's 95%. That's pretty good. And there's 30 seeds in there. Like I said, I only plant usually about 3 seeds in a mound at a time. But that's up to you. Ow, kitty, ow! Don't jump on my back with your claws. That hurts. Okay. Okay. Say hi to the people. Hello, Cowcat, Vegas, little boy, Steve. Okay. And then this last one is a hybrid, a kind of hybrid. And it's called a flat stacker. And I believe this one was white. And it's the pumpkins that actually grow like flatter. You've seen probably, you may have seen like seen them stacked, different sizes. They're flat on top and on the bottom, so it's easy to store. Minimum days 95, and germination rate almost 100%, which is pretty good. Germination rate too can vary, depends on what kind of soil you have, how often you water, what the temperatures are, and so on. So these were from Johnny's Seeds. I believe each one was about $4 or $5 per pack. There was a whole lot of seeds in there. This one just says minimum. This is the just a greenhouse pepper. This one says minimum of 10 seeds. But most of them, this one's got 30, that one's got 25, 40, 40, 30. I mean, most of them have quite a few seeds in them. So for $4 or $5, that's not too bad. And then what you can do, if they're not hybrid, this one says certified organic, so it doesn't say hybrid. I could save these seeds if I like it for next year. That one, hybrid. That one, hybrid. This one, hybrid. This one says heirloom. So I can save these seeds and they're going to grow straight to type. They'll grow just like they grew this year. Hybrid, no. It says certified organic, but it does not say hybrid. I could probably save seeds for this one. And this one says hybrid, so no. So, short season seeds, look to see how many days it takes for them to grow. Check your germination rate, and that tells you like how many you should be planting. And then, what was the other thing? Oh, pumpkins. I got the pumpkin. There's a pepper, tomato, pumpkins. So my peppers, I'm gonna grow I'm gonna grow in cups like I did this year. I'll grow in the plastic cups. Tomatoes, same thing. I'm gonna grow in the plastic cups. Cucumbers. Some people grow them outside and then transplant them because cucumbers don't really like frost much at all. They're really kind of, because they're mostly water, and that makes sense. So I will likely start these in, not in cups, but in like some little pots and see how they do, and then transplant them when it's time. No, you know what? I'm going to put these in cups too. Because their root system, they're going to want just like one plant per cup. Their root system won't want to be disturbed very much, so a cup will be better for that. Pumpkins, I will definitely not start these in cups. Pumpkins would be started in the potting mix, the old potting mix I have from last year's hanging baskets, in a mound, and 3 seeds per mound. You do have to think about how much room you have. If you have a long strip, that's fine. You don't have to have like a square or a rectangle to start pumpkins. As long as you have some place where those vines can run, you're fine. So if I don't know. If you have at least like 2 foot wide and probably 10 or 12 foot long strip, you'd be okay. Like along a fence line. Fence lines would be good. Like back there, we could grow pumpkins easily back there, like along the fence line. I could grow them if I wanted to around the fire pit, because you can move the vines, and that's okay. It's good if you have flowers around too, because the pumpkins do need pollination by pollinators, and the yellow flowers would be spotted when the pollinators are going for the other flowers. So you're going to want to attract the pollinators to things that need pollination. So that would be a good thing to do with those. Okay, so that's about short seasons. And today was about Dunkin' Donuts and replanting the corn and the squash and zucchini that I need to do. Oh, I really just would rather put these in the ground, but I'm afraid my chickens are going to get out again because of my dodo brain not closing the fence. Pinwheels that may keep out your birds. And that's been a concern for me, as far as like wild birds have been a concern for me around the chickens because of the avian flu that was going around. So that's why I have my chicken run covered. A lot of it is covered. So those birds can poop all they want on the covers, but they're not going to interact with the chickens. And pinwheels. Oh, hot weather. Just a quick reminder again that big ball of fire up there, that thing up there. Oh, it's covered by clouds now. Anyway, it is going to be very hot the next 3 days. It's okay. Go ahead and water your garden every day. At least once in the morning when it's really, really hot like this. Your plants will thank you. They're not going to get mildew. They're not going to get all crazy if you do it in the morning, because that gives the plants time to dry off and the water it has a chance to evaporate. What they say about don't water early, like in the middle of the day or in the afternoon, is the water pools. There's a leaf. The water drops on the leaf. Water is like a magnifier for heat and light. So when the sun shines, the water could actually end up making a hole in your leaf, burn a hole in your leaf. Like if you had a magnifying glass. So that's why they say don't overhead water. They say water at the roots, because if you have the droplets on the leaves themselves, they might burn them. But also they say water early in the day. So get away from me, bug. So the plants have time to dry off before the sun hits them. So that was all for today about short season plants that are available. And like I said, I'm going to start some of these seeds today, and they're going to be planted out closer to the middle of June when my friend moves into her home. So that is all for today. Happy Sunday. I hope you're enjoying your Memorial Day weekend with friends and family, or reaching out to other people. If you're alone, call somebody else that may be alone and talk to them. Make sure that they know that they're not alone. We're coming out of some really hard times, and it's hard on a lot of people. So don't forget people, okay? Don't leave them out. As soon as someone comes to mind, pick up the phone, send a text, tell them you love them. Tell your friends you love them, tell your family you love them, tell strangers you love them, as much as possible. So that's all for now. This is Tammy Lowe, Lazy Northern Gardener, and love you, learn and grow. Bye.